Hey everybody, it's Peter, and this is the Skidoo Backcountry Sport 600 EFI. This is more of an entry-level unit, but it offers tremendous value. And the key with any power sport, when you're looking at more of an entry-level unit, is you want to cut out things that you don't need, put in things that you do need. You don't want to shop for the lowest possible price, although this might hit pretty close to that. But you don't want to get the lowest possible price. You want to get the right amount of value and the right amount of high-end components to balance things out. You also want something that's super versatile. So we're going to talk about that and more in this unit. And this is a really interesting unit to me because this one happens to be a 2024. And right now here at Extreme Torque Motorsports with 3 locations throughout New Brunswick, this thing is under $10,000 Canadian. It's got a significant discount. The 2025 model is basically the same model. This one here is on a special promotion right at time of filming, which is very late November 2024. 2025s are out. So if you're looking to compare this unit and maybe only 2025s are out, no problem. The 2025 is basically the same as this. I think there's some color differences. But if you're looking for great value, buying a last model year or the 2024 and late 2024 might make sense for you. So lots to talk about here. Let's get going with this review. So like I mentioned off the top, when you're looking at an entry-level unit, whether it's a motorcycle, a side-by-side, an ATV, or a snowmobile, you're going to want to get something versatile, especially if this is maybe your first step into a brand new unit, or if it's your first unit altogether. You want something that can do a little bit of everything. So that's important in, like I said, motorcycles, side-by-sides, whatever. And this one here, the class that it is sort of a 50-50 unit. So it's going to be very good on trail. It's going to be very good off trail. It's going to be very good at carrying your luggage. You can get a second passenger on here. You can do all the things that you want to do. And that's important because most people buying entry-level units are looking for something that can kind of do it all and keep things simple. Now again, an entry-level unit is going to cost less, which means they have to cut out features. But I think the key is in what you're cutting out, what features you're cutting out. So let's start at the front here, talk about what it's got, what they're cutting out. We're going to work our way through. And again, it's really, really tough for manufacturers to make a good, more entry-level sled or any kind of power sport simply because you're cutting out things that make it great. But some of those great things don't matter to every rider, and if you cut out the right things, you can end up with a perfect sled for you that will last you for years and years, and you don't have to upgrade from there. And I think this one might be something like that. So again, let's start at the front. So as we take a look at the front of this sled, you're going to see the headlight first. And I want to just start with that. It seems really simple, but again, this is a more halogen headlight instead of an LED headlight. A halogen headlight actually offers some advantages specifically in the snow that an LED headlight does not. So the halogen headlight, a little bit more yellow tone compared to the white tone, but the bigger thing is it creates enough heat in there to melt that snow. So that's something that it doesn't rely purely on aerodynamics to clear it. You've got a naturally heated element there that's going to keep your headlight clear. So again, some people would say that's a downgrade. It might be perfectly fine and it might be exactly what you want. Now the other thing you're going to have here is some really quality type geometry and suspension. This is what Skidoo does. They're a leading brand for a reason. So again, you've got the basic geometry here. Your steering bar there is in line with the A-arm bar. That's going to allow you to have not a lot of twist in the ski as you're going up and down through bumps, but you are going to see some more entry-level components here. So let's just zip in for a second here. I don't think this kind of entry-level component bothers you. You can see if you look up and down the shock here, you do not have a piggyback shock. Now the high-end units have a piggyback shock, which has a lot more adjustment here. One thing you can see here is, actually you can't see in the top, A-arm's in the way, but you can adjust the preload. So we'll have a better angle of that in a second here. That is a tool adjustment. You're basically gonna do it once, and basically you can see sort of this side here is down there. If that little black bar was right in there instead of up here, basically it allows for a little bit different preload. So depending on how you're weighting the sled up, it can change a little bit the way it rides, but you have very minimal adjustments in your suspension. Now, I don't think that matters for the average entry-level rider, and let's be very honest, as we look over here at some of the higher-end sleds, higher-end suspension, piggyback shocks, lots of adjustability, how many people are actually adjusting their suspension? A lot. A lot of people with a fully adjustable suspension just set it and forget it, and if you're that kind of person, then why pay for the extra suspension? Yes, you get some extra performance, but again, extra performance is usually felt more at the limit than within the realms of how you're probably going to be driving this or riding this. So basic suspension, but quality geometry and everything like that, it's gonna get you through what you need. Now, take a look at the skis as well. You have the ability to narrow these out by putting the spacers on one side or the other, so you can narrow it out or widen it out, and that's gonna give you something that, you know, does a lot of things for you, but one of the things it does is make it a little bit more playful and sort of the off trail, but also a little bit more stable. Whatever you wanna do, you have some flexibility there. Let's work our way back through the side of this unit now. So taking a look at the running board here, you can see that this has been redesigned in the past at some point in this life of this thing, and you can see there's a lot of open space there. That's gonna clear the snow there for you. A lot of the running boards have a lot of different styles. You know, you can decide on which one you think is best for you, but this design is gonna clear snow for you. Now, a couple things it's missing here from the high-end sleds is it doesn't have the toe holds that can hold you in if you're really pulling up on things in there, but it does have good grip extra where you're gonna put your feet. And then of course you've got things where quality matters. So I'm gonna zoom right into here. Hopefully you can read that. That says Brembo. You've got Brembo brakes on this, which means you've got fully, a lot of snowmobiles will have the fully braided lines, which gives you great feel. But again, the Brembo brake's gonna give you good performance, regardless of, you know, how hot those brakes get and that kind of thing. So you're ending up with something that's a higher end braking on a more entry-level sled, which is really good to have. So a couple nice components. You're not really lacking anything that really matters. If you really need the toe holds to go up, I'm sure you can get those as accessories, but again, that's what we're looking at here as we step down. Now let's keep moving back and show you one more thing that I think really matters on an entry-level sled. So we're taking a look above the track, behind the seat here. We'll go wide angle just kind of so you get a sense of where we are here. Let's zoom back into the sort of standard angle. And you've got something that I really appreciate, these link accessories. So of course you can do a lot with all this stuff, right? You could add a rear seat, you can add different things. There's a lot of thought put into this because if you decide to buy this unit, and maybe in the future you want to move up, if you move up within the BRP lineup, so that's the Lynx or the Skidoo lineup, a lot of the accessories, in fact, all the accessories that mount to these links settings here, or link settings, L-I-N-Q settings, you can move between snowmobiles, but you can also move them between snowmobiles and your side-by-side, your ATV, even your Sea-Doo or something like that. So you've got a whole lot of options to start accessorizing this out and be able to take things through. Now, one thing that's kind of cool, if you take a passenger or something on here, and you've got some wiring for various things, you can see they've even already built in the place to stick the wiring when certain things are there or not there. So you've got all this set up here to expand upon this. And that's one of the things that BRP in general with all of their products is they're as much of an accessories company as they are a a vehicle company, and they all have really thought out how the accessories are going to fit, how they're going to work, not just on this sled, but across their entire lineup. So that's a really good thing to have. All right, let's take a look at some of the controls now here, because I want to talk about them, because again, you're dealing with something where you've got a little more simplified unit, and let's see what they've simplified and what they've kept in. So as we approach the unit and hop on for a second, we're just going to show you the general view you're getting here. Let's actually go wide angle for a second here, and you kind of see a little bit of everything. Now, one of the things you're going to see is a little less of everything. So again, let's zoom in here a little closer. You can see that Brembo logo right there on the brake lever there. Really nice feel to the brake lever. You've got a simple full-on parking brake there, and then you have a lack of controls in this general area. Now, I am perfectly fine with that. I think that you've got everything you need and nothing you don't. Still have heated grips here, so we'll show you that control in a second, but even sort of all the precision here. So you've got everything lined up, your brake and all that exactly the way you want it. You've got the handlebars lined up exactly the way you want it, but if you want to switch things, you can see exactly how far you've switched things, and I think that's a really good thing that Skidoo does here with their handlebars and with their controls. So again, if you want to move some of these pieces here on different angles, you can move them around but know exactly where they are. Just a simple process. Now we mentioned this has heated grips. It also has a heated throttle here. We're going to show you a little bit more about that in a second, but you've got your turn it up and turn it down switch here. A lot of people think this is high and low. You got lots and lots of different settings in there, which we'll show you in the dash in 1 second here. We're gonna have to start it up here. I'm not sure, I am in an echoey building here, so that's gonna make this sound a lot louder and make it harder for you to hear me when we do start it up to show you the dash here. One thing I want to show you just above the dash here, you do have a little space there to put your stuff, which is kind of nice. And again, you've got that sort of mid-level windshield. Let's go full wide angle here. That mid-level windshield here. No hand grips on this one or hand shields on this one. You can get all those things as accessories. So you've got a little bit of protection, but not a ton. Again, you can add things up as you need. One thing I like about this windshield is it's going to keep some of the wind off you, but it's still going to allow you to have that nice positioning. So if I lean over the sled like I am right now, it's not going to get in my way, but it does have that nice lip up, which is going to send some of the wind and snow over you. Now let's take a look at some of the controls we have down here. Zoom right in, the headlights right there, high and low beam. We talked about that heated switch here. Now on some of the Ski-Doo and BRP products, you'll have that sort of electronic key that's, it's not a traditional key like this one. Like these ones here, you can sort of see the traditional key. So we're going to leave it in there for a second here. So in order to have, if you fall off, you're going to have a separate pull there. So if you fall off, you clip that to your jacket, it goes with you, and the thing of course shuts off. Now, one thing I think is really crucial about a entry-level unit, this takes 87 octane. That is something you don't often see. Often it's premium fuel. So if you think about the savings between premium fuel and regular, it's you can put regular in there as well. But it also says that you can use 91 as well. So you can put whatever fuel in there you need. All right, now we've got the start switch here and the reverse system here. So we're going to start it up just to show you the dash. It's going to make some noise. Hopefully you can still hear me. Let's just go full wide angle for a second here. So we'll start it up. Actually, we got to kill the kill switch. Start it up for a second. Starts right up. There you can see it. So again, hopefully you can hear me. Take a look at the dash here. You've got a lot of controls. It is hard to show on this camera. I can see it a lot clearer, so let's try to zoom in a little bit different here. All right, you fuel gauge over here and temperature gauge over there. They are hard to see, but as we cycle through the mode, you're going to see a lot of different things. So we hold down the switch here. There we go. Speed there, speed statistics. You've got fuel statistics, engine temperature, settings, RPM, and you can also set it through various settings there where you have this gauge here all the way up, which shows your throttle temperature, and this gauge here all the way up, or sorry, this one shows your grip temperature, and this one shows your throttle. Now again, much easier to see in real life. The camera's not picking it up, but a very simple basic dash. Let's turn it off again for a second. Actually, before we turn it off, we'll show you the reverse. To throw this in reverse, all we're gonna do is turn the key. Watch this. Turns the key off. You got the reverse flashing right there, and that's what you've got. So put it back to reverse. And that's how you get from reverse to the standard. So again, a little different model. Let's turn it off. All right, so turning it off, what you see here is, again, the temperature gauge here and the fuel gauge there. Again, it's not filming very well, but you can set those controls to all kinds of different things. And one of the things that I think is really cool is you can use this heated grip setting, turn it up, turn it down, to change the heated grip level, which actually I can already feel they're quite warm, they're quite nice there. But it also has the throttle. Now, normally when you adjust this switch, it moves everything together up or down. But in that setting system, which I didn't get to show you as much just because it was loud in this room, you can actually set it so the throttle and the throttle on this side can be lower or higher than the heated grip. So if you want your throttle to always be a little higher, as you turn this up, you can set them, you know, this one might be 3 bars, that one might be 7 bars, right? So you can sit there and have them at different levels, and as you move them up, they move up on a grid together. So traditionally from the factory, they're gonna move up together evenly. But again, if you're finding that you need a little bit more thumb than you need hands, or you need a little bit more hands than thumb, you can adjust that in the settings. So even though you have a basic display, some of the key settings are already set there for you, which is really cool. Reverse is also a cool system, simply work with the key there. So to wrap up, I think we need to talk about who this unit's for, what you're getting and not getting by moving to a higher unit, and if that makes sense for you. So first of all, who is this for? Obviously, an entry-level new unit may not be your first snowmobile, but it does give you something that's going to be really reliable. It's going to get you something that's brand new, so nobody else has abused it. You know the oil changes, you know when the oil changes have been done, stuff like that, and you end up with something with relatively modern technology on it. But you're not paying for technology you don't use. If the goal of getting out on a snowmobile is getting out there and having fun on the snow and be able to take what you need and just having a good time, this thing's gonna give you everything you need. So what are you giving up by not going to a higher end level? Well, some of the things like a 10¼ inch touchscreen display may not matter to you. Something like the advanced suspension. Advanced suspension is one of those things that's really important as you get into high speed, really precise driving for a lot of people, even if they have more advanced suspension, they may not notice it in their everyday driving. Think about driving a car around town. You can drive a Porsche or you can drive a basic car around town. Yes, there is a feeling difference, but the advancements of the Porsche don't make a difference just driving around going to the grocery store. They make a difference when you go to higher speeds. And it's the same thing with the suspension here. You know, generally speaking, the suspension is going to keep those skis in contact with the ground over all kinds of bumps and that kind of thing. If you're driving on super rough terrain and going super fast and that kind of thing, then the precision of an adjustable suspension and the piggyback shocks is going to give you a little bit more snow contact. But sometimes the fun is just having that skipping around a little bit. This one might do that at really high speeds or that kind of thing, but that's part of the fun of riding. And for most people, you don't need the precision of the adjustable suspension to really dial things in unless you're trying to make lap times with your friends around the lake or something like that. So for the most part, you end up with a suspension that's perfectly capable. Now on the higher end sleds, you do have, this one has a more of a basic suspension setup. On higher end sleds, they have a sort of anti-bottoming out type thing. If you're jumping your sled, this one's probably not the best one to jump, but it's going to give you the basic comfort you need. It's going to allow you to take passengers. It's going to allow you to take gear. It gives you all the things you want without having to pay for the things that you may not use and may not take advantage. And that's why, in my mind, this is good. Now we talk about that 50-50 split. If this is more of an entry-level sled for you, and that 50-50 style sled makes it versatile on trail, on rougher trails, on sort of half-done, half-groomed trails, and off-trail, this one's going to give you the flexibility to go over whatever you need to go over. Now, if you're spending a whole lot of time off-trail and you want to move up eventually, then you can decide which direction you want to go. There are better sleds for full off trail. If you're going really fast and you always are running this thing, you know, near full throttle, then yeah, it's time to get a bigger engine. But most people are running a speed that this can handle and the higher spec engines can handle. So it depends on what you want. If you're always loading this down with all kinds of stuff and you just need more gear space, then that'll tell you where your next one's got to go. But the point is, whatever kind of snowmobiler you are this winter, this will work for you. And if that changes over time, this can still work for you, but this will make, you know, at every extreme, this may reach its limit, but depending on which extreme you stretch, whether it's pure speed, whether it's pure utility, whether it's, you know, suspension, that kind of thing, you'll be able to tell where you want to move next by getting something like this, and you're going to save some money in doing that. Like I said, this thing's under 10 grand MSRP right now, $99.99 Canadian. Right here at Extreme Torque Motorsports with the discounts. 2025 is going to cost you more, so the 2024 is available. But whether it's a 2025 or 2024, it's a really good sled to kind of teach you what kind of riding you want to have. And if you want to move up, down, sideways, around from this, you can do that. But if you don't want to move on at all, this one's going to give you all the versatility you need as long as you're not reaching the extremes on any one side. So there is my review of what I think is one of the best value entry-level snowmobiles out there today. If you're more interested in it, check the link in the description. Extreme Torque Motorsports, 3 locations in New Brunswick. Like I said, this one probably won't last that long because of the discounts, and it's really not changed for 2025. So make sure you give them a call, reach out to them in the link in the description, and we'll talk to you guys in the next one.